Do you remember the saying, an ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure? Keep that in mind as we take the necessary action to prevent the spread of Zik V. Please, keep your surroundings clean and destroy mosquito breeding sites. We all need to do something before something do it. Hi there, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Jamaica Magazine. On the pages today, progress on the government's economic reform program, plus the Transport Authority is regulating and monitoring standards for public transportation, and the top items making news this week. Stay with us for these and more in this half-hour package.
Zik V, hold up your hand. Zik V in the Caribbean territory, but we now want that virus take set pan we. So make sure send no stagnant water inside and mash up all mosquito breed inside. More holding that it in them where you dash way and change the water in your vase every day. No litter, dispose of your garbage proper. You know them the thing that we turn drain blacker. Tour your community and tour your yard for suppress mosquito. We have figure hard dash we all tire turn over drum pan for prevention is the greatest weapon. And special shout out to pregnant ladies. Protect yourselves and protect your babies. Draw for your zapper and your mosquito spray. If you do all that we can to keep them away. For we know Zik V.
If you take the bus or taxi, you may not see them, but your journey is facilitated by the people at the Transport Authority. In the first of a two-part look at this government entity, we explore its main areas of responsibility.
Most people across the world travel by this means, public transportation. For many, it's undeniably the most cost-effective way of getting from one location to another. It's also an important part of Jamaica's development agenda, and the Transport Authority has a major role to play in regulating and monitoring the execution of Jamaica's land transportation system. The Transport Authority, which was established in 1987 as a statutory body of government, is on a mission.
We are working assiduously to create a safe and secured, a reliable and economic public transportation sector for the people of Jamaica.
As it works to better regulate Jamaica's land transport system, the authority is increasing its use of modern technology.
We have done quite a bit of enhancement to our licensing information management system, the software that is used to capture all the data on license, so that through the LMIS, we'll be able to gather information and intelligence that can give us a more targeted approach to enforcement activities.
The authority has also developed its Road Operations Management System, ROMS. This computerized system is enabling the authority to automate its operational activities and significantly improve efficiency in its documentation process. Besides that, investment is also being made in other intelligence-based technology solutions.
You will see our inspectors with their handheld computers out there, their tablets. And through their tablets, they will be able to use the software that we have developed to help with the monitoring and enforcement activities, as well as the issuing of summons.
Professionalism and customer service is improving also, as the Transport Authority trains its inspectors and licensing officers under a new public interaction policy.
Through the public interaction policy that we are now implementing, employees will be empowered to provide a greater level of professional and courteous service, both at our offices as well as on our road operations. In our new enforcement strategies, we will include more dialogue, more interactions with our various stakeholders. And so we continue to have meetings with owners and operators of vehicles, and of course when it comes to obeying the law and complying with the terms and conditions of their road license.
And in order to readily identify persons who breach the road transport regulations, the authority is collaborating with other entities such as the NAA and JCF to use closed-circuit cameras in its monitoring and enforcement activities.
As you are aware, in some countries, the camera is what does the work. And the moment you violate the law, then you can look forward to getting your ticket in the mail or otherwise. There's no reason why we should not be moving in that direction.
As part of its roles and functions, the Transport Authority maintains a transport register, conducts technical surveys for granting licenses, determines and schedules routes, prepares timetables, and investigates complaints. A major area of its work is the licensing of all public passenger vehicles and commercial carriers in the island.
The law requires that we issue license to persons of good character to operate in the public transport system. It is the requirement of the Transport Authority to ensure that persons who operate in public transportation are persons indeed of good character, so that we can guarantee the safety and security of our commuters and road users, all of us.
The Transport Authority working to deliver a first-world land transportation system for the Jamaican people.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito. A message from the Ministry of Health.
Motorists, know your rights as road users. If you're stopped by the police in a road check, the police have the right to ask for your driver's license and vehicle documents. If you don't have the documents on you, you can ask for 5 days to provide them at a convenient police station. If you don't have vehicle insurance, you can be prosecuted and face the court. If you fail to renew the registration license, the police are entitled to seize your vehicle. If the police wish to search your vehicle, they should tell you the reasonable grounds for wanting the search. If you are given a ticket, sign it only if you plan to pay the fine and not contest the charge in court. And please be reminded, children under 18 years must wear a seatbelt, even if they are seated in the back. Know your rights. Knowledge of the traffic road code makes it easier to work with the police as they do their job to make the road safer for you and everyone else.
The Economic Reform Program is government's strategic plan to generate sustainable economic growth and long-term development for Jamaica. As you'll see next, the plan is generating good results.
It may seem cliché, but it's a message worth repeating. And it's good news, important news. Jamaica's economy is improving, reaping results, making steady progress under the Economic Reform Program. In 2015, Forbes magazine said we were the best place in the Caribbean to do business. Like our athletic prowess, Jamaica takes pride in maintaining the top spot and breaking the record. So, earlier this year,
Jamaica has moved up to 59 from 64 last time.
Plus, with the Jamaica Stock Exchange being the best performer worldwide in 2015, recording over 90% growth, government will be using the exchange to further expand the economy this year. The finance minister has indicated that a number of public entities may be divested on the stock exchange. These include Wigton Wind Farm Limited, Jamaica Public Service Company, SEPROD, as well as assets of the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, Petrojam Ethanol, and Things Jamaica Limited. It's expected that investors will buy into those companies, especially since government will pay out $62 billion for matured bonds in February.
I would say to those who will be beneficiaries of the payout to consider the possibility of investing in some of these assets which we intend to bring to market quickly. They provide a diverse opportunity to broaden the shareholding of these entities, as well as to encourage Jamaicans to participate in our stock exchange.
In addition to the stock exchange, government is still working on other growth inducement strategies.
Approximately 2,000 additional rooms will come on stream this year, 2016. The rollout of the integrated resort developments, which are expected to break ground this year. The licenses that have been issued, provisional licenses, are contingent upon the start of construction by mid-year. I expect that there is going to be an increase in housing developments in 2016, and I understand that there is strong demand for this commodity.
Projects will also be undertaken in other sectors, for example, logistics, energy, business process outsourcing, infrastructure development, and the creative industries. And the good news continues. This time it's in relation to Jamaica's performance for October to December 2015 under the agreement with the International Monetary Fund, IMF.
Based on the information that I have, we are on track to successfully complete the 11th review when the fund team visits next month.
The primary balance at the end of November was $55.8 billion, 5.3 more than target. The net international reserves at the end of December was about $800 million more than target, standing at $2.34 billion. Tax revenues for the April to November 2015 period were also $6.2 billion ahead of target. Tax on interest was up by $4.2 billion, special consumption tax SCT $2.9 billion, general consumption tax GCT $1.8 billion, and company tax $1.4 billion.
When you see the sales taxes, SCT and GCT, and the company taxes outperforming, I think that says something about business activity, that it's picking up somewhat. Picking up more than was planned, I guess you could say.
Customs duty, telephone tax, and tax on dividends were, however, behind the target. The devaluation of the Jamaican dollar, especially in relation to the US dollar, has also been a hot-button topic for many Jamaicans. Let's examine the issue. First of all, the value of the currency is linked to inflation. Inflation for 2015 was 3.7%, the lowest in 50 years, and Jamaica's currency devalued by 5% against the US dollar in 2015.
So we have devalued a little bit more than the inflation rate here. So we have gained about 1.3% competitiveness with the US currency.
Because we have stabilized both the fiscal and monetary aspects of the economy and maintained a competitive exchange rate, the country is once again becoming attractive as a location to produce and manufacture commodities.
As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. It's worth repeating. Jamaica's economy is making strides, meeting the quantitative targets, improving the business environment, remaining competitive, and undertaking a number of projects to grow the economy. Strong evidence of a harvest after sowing its economic reform program.
The correct way to vote. Step 1. Find out exactly where you are to vote before Election Day.
Adrian Atkins.
Step 2.
Thank you very much.
Present your voter's identification card and follow the instructions of the presiding officer. Step 3. Once your identity has been verified and your name is found on the voters list, you will be issued a ballot paper. Step 4. Go behind the voting booth and mark an X with the pencil provided beside the candidate of your choice. Then, fold your ballot twice, leaving the flap out. Step 5. Give the ballot to the presiding officer. Then, dip your right index finger in the electoral ink and watch while your unopened ballot is put in the box. Step 6. Leave the vicinity in a peaceful manner.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count.
As we go about our daily lives, there is one inconspicuous regime regulating our moral limits: governance, the process by which the affairs of the country and the people are managed. Debatably, governments are considered a central figure of civilized society, providing the shared needs of our people which cannot be fulfilled by individual efforts. For the most part, Jamaica boasts a stable democratic system of governance, one that is participatory and wherein the people hold ultimate power in electing their representatives in free and fair elections.
We go to the polls every 5 years.
Anybody can run for elections. You can stand for election if you are a Commonwealth citizen and have been living in the country for, I think it is 1 year.
And as it relates to the laws of the land, Jamaica's constitutional rules are supreme. This most important document establishes the character of the government and the basic principles to which the society must conform.
It is the one on which all the other laws of the country are based.
The Constitution basically sets out the arms of government, and they're basically the executive, which is the cabinet and how it functions, the judiciary, that is our courts, and how independent they are, so that they are not fettered by the parliament, and they are totally independent. And finally, the legislature, that is the parliament and how it makes its laws.
The fundamental rights and freedoms of all persons are secured in the Constitution, and each citizen is subject to the rule of law, with every person considered equal before the law.
So that the Constitution puts in place what is called security of tenure of the judges. That is, once a judge is appointed, virtually that person can't be removed except for ill health or misbehavior. So part of the protection of our judiciary is the protection of our rights, because the last persons to speak on our rights are the judges.
Even while considered an independent country, the British monarch is constitutionally Jamaica's head of state, the chief executive represented by the Governor-General.
But in our system, the Queen doesn't act as chief executive, but she acts as a sort of honorary chief executive. She doesn't actually carry out the law, though there are debates as to whether she has hidden powers which are just seldom if ever used.
In reality, the day-to-day chief executive of the country is the Prime Minister, and the person who holds this office will periodically recommend someone to be installed as Governor-General to represent the Crown. But neither the British monarch nor the Governor-General have any real authority in how the country is managed. Under the Constitution, the Governor-General is given authority to act in many matters, including appointing officers of the civil service, starting and stopping parliamentary assemblies, and granting judicial pardon. In most matters, the Governor-General acts only on the advice of the Prime Minister, but occasionally on the advice of both the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition. A body of people meets to discuss state matters regularly in what is called the legislature or parliament. Parliament consists of two houses, an appointed Senate, which is also called the upper house, and an elected House of Representatives, also known as the lower house. This legislative arm of the government has responsibility for establishing laws. 21 nominated persons make up the Senate, 13 appointed by the Governor-General on the advice of the Prime Minister, and 8 on the advice of the Leader of the Opposition. Only 4 ministers of government can come from the Senate. When a new Senate first meets, the members generally elect a president and deputy president who cannot be appointed ministers.
A Minister of Finance cannot come in the Jamaican Constitution from the Senate. And the thinking behind it is that the Minister of Finance is perhaps the second most important minister after the Prime Minister. And you want that person to have his or her own mandate that is a direct responsibility to the people.
In contrast, the House of Representatives, or the lower house, earns its own mandate and has an elected body. The number has changed over the years, but the current maximum membership is 63.
That I will not, except with the authority of the Cabinet.
Every parliamentarian who accepts the job to serve takes an oath to defend and uphold the laws of Jamaica and to discharge their duty of serving the people in an impartial and conscientious manner.
He's supposed to look after their welfare, respond to their demands, and generally be the representative of his constituents.
In practice, most pieces of legislation are introduced and debated first by members of this House. It's the same with other matters of national affairs, including budget, taxation, and the granting of funds. All have to be discussed and approved by the Parliament, which ultimately exercises control over the government's finances. The good conduct of members and House rules are kept in check by an elected House Speaker, who is also meant to ensure that every member gets a fair hearing in the chamber. What, how, and when the various matters are debated is the responsibility of the House Leader, a member of the ruling party who is elected by his or her peers to direct the course of business. And these deliberations are agreed on by the Leader of Opposition Business, who is first consulted by the House Leader. Governments over the years have striven for the admirable principles of efficiency, accountability, and transparency, hallmarks of good governance, the thread that weaves us together as a society, safeguarding our fundamental human rights and responsibilities.
Bordered by the world's 7th largest natural harbor, home to cultural landmarks, it's the heartbeat of the country. And now, with the introduction of Reggae Month, it's Kingston for February, promising to make the city capital a hotspot for local and foreign entertainment seekers.
From jungle to Rima, from Tivoli to Matthews Lane.
So if you're away or at home, the ministry is inviting you to come to Kingston. There is an event for everyone, with some having no cover charge. Don't stay at home. Take along your friends and explore Reggae Month. It's Kingston for February. For more information on the ministry's initiative, you may call 920-4926-30 or click on their website mot.gov.jm.
Hi there, I'm Simone Wolf with your JIS News of the Week. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has announced that Jamaicans will go to the polls for a general election on Thursday, February 25. As a result, nomination day is to be on Tuesday, February 9. Following the Prime Minister's announcement, the Director of Elections, Orrit Fisher, revealed that the police, military and election day workers would go to the polls on February 22. In the meantime, the Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, is training the 20,000 election day workers needed to man the 7,039 polling stations. The 1,000 schools to be used as polling stations will be asked to close early on February 24 to prepare for the election. And for the first time, the EOJ will be collecting demographic data on voters this election day.
So, for example, we will be able to take what percentage of voters are between a particular age or the sex and so on, the gender rather.
In other news, government ramped up its Zika virus response plan this week after the confirmation of one case in the country.
The Ministry of Health will spend an additional $200 million to deal with the Zika virus threat. At the same time, a major cleanup campaign will be undertaken by the Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing under the JEEP program with funding from the Tourism Enhancement Fund.
Health Minister Horace Daly said the ministry had activated its National Emergency Operations Center and heightened fever and rash surveillance island-wide. Intervention was also stepped up in and around the Portmore community where the first case was confirmed.
They have visited to check for fever, and interviews were conducted with 1,355 persons. Blood samples were collected from 15 persons arising out of the visits to these 1,894 homes. And these were sent off to the lab in Trinidad.
Meanwhile, 200 volunteers will be drawn from the National Youth Service to help the National Response Plan, while the Education Ministry staged a National Cleanup Day in schools on Friday. Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller symbolically commissioned the Angels to Linstead section of the North-South Highway on Thursday. Use of the 16-kilometer stretch of highway will be free to the public from Monday, February 8 until sometime in March, when the section from Mandela to Angels is opened.
We are building first world infrastructure and providing first world services for the Jamaican people.
Never again will flooding of the gorge be the cause of delays and danger for the traveling public.
Meanwhile, contracts valuing $182 million were signed on Tuesday for the repair of 22 farm roads in 10 parishes.
The activities being undertaken include resurfacing, patching, cleaning, construction and improvement to drainage, central maintenance and improvement.
Another 168 persons recently received land titles under the Land Administration and Management Program LAMP. At the ceremony, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller announced that grant assistance provided by the Development Bank of Jamaica was being modified to benefit more persons.
I am pleased to announce that the DBJ has, in association with the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change, modified the terms of the MOU. It is now more flexible so that persons can access the financial assistance they need.
Ground has been broken for the construction of a state-of-the-art cancer treatment center at the St. Joseph Hospital. It is to be completed within the next 12 months and will be outfitted with linear accelerator LINAC machines, which are the most modern technology in radiotherapy treatment for cancer.
It is one of the largest investment in health. It's going to be a holistic center, total, complete cancer care center for the people of Jamaica.
And finally, the Titchfield High School in Portland has received 6 new classrooms valued at $19.3 million. And those were some of the stories making news this week. I'm Simone Wolf.
And that brings us to the end of today's edition of Jamaica Magazine. We value your feedback, so keep the link. Tell us what you thought of the show. Send an email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm or hit us up on Twitter at JIS News. Also, click on our website, jis.gov.jm, for the very latest government information. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson, reminding you to take care of your health, eat well, exercise, get adequate rest, and make every day a productive one.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.